According to LeBron James, winning championships means nothing. If you guys do enjoy the video, please give a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Peace. So most of you might have seen this, but LeBron James went on the Steve Nash podcast talking about how winning championships isn't the end-all, be-all of professional sports and team sports as a collective. This is the podcast clip real quick, him talking about that.
It's funny, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it's discussed so much in our sport and why it's the A-all, B-all of everything. You sit here and you tell me, you know, Allen Iverson and Charles Barkley and Steve Nash, you know, are fucking wasn't unbelievable. Like, oh, they can't be talked about or discussed with these guys is because this guy won one ring or won two rings or won, like, it's just weird to me. It's like saying Peyton Manning can't be in the same room with Brady or Mahomes because he only has one ring. They don't never discuss that in their sport.
Right.
Or telling me that Dan Marino is.
So yeah, you see him talking about like, hey man, just because these people don't have rings or just have one ring or whatever the case may be, doesn't mean that they're not that elite level legend. Which I'm going to give LeBron a little bit of the benefit of the doubt here, because this is something that he's trying to give a compliment to Steve Nash here, just saying, hey man, just because you didn't win a ring doesn't mean that I don't appreciate your greatness. And that's pretty much the only benefit of the doubt I'm going to give LeBron here, because obviously this whole argument is being turned around because this kind of blew up a little bit around the sports world. First Take, ESPN Get Up, and Pat McAfee Show, stuff like that, right? Those programs kind of went on to talk about why LeBron's talking about these things and why he kind of brings it up and why he kind of brings up hate on himself. He brings this hate on himself. And like I said, I think that it's one of those things where he's kind of shooting the shit with Steve Nash. He's like, hey man, just because you didn't win a ring doesn't mean that you're not a great, doesn't mean that you didn't offer a lot to this game. Steve Nash went on to like help coach like the Warriors, and he kind of went on his own coaching stint a little bit. But yeah, it's kind of one of those things where this is just a dumb thing to say for LeBron. I mean, he can have a conversation with Steve Nash in private. It doesn't so much have to be on a podcast where it's like broadcasted worldwide to a lot of people. And it's speculated, and it just makes him come off like he brings us upon himself to be like, hate me, please, somebody hate me. And that's where he gets like this narcissistic, masochist type label on himself, which is super fair. I mean, dude's talking about stuff that, does anybody really care that Steve Nash doesn't have a championship or Charles Barkley doesn't have a championship? Charles Barkley, and I think Charles would agree to this, him being inside the NBA for so long has had a bigger impact on the sport of basketball, not as more than his NBA career itself, because Charles was a great basketball player from what I've heard. I never watched him play, but you know, like, inside the NBA will be forever immortalized within the sport of basketball. Everybody's going to know what that is, who was on that show, those moments on that show. So it's kind of a weird thing for LeBron to say something like this. Steve Nash also as well, like his influence around the game is going to be immortalized forever just because of the type of dude he was. He was the white point guard after John Stockton. He won multiple MVPs. He had a big winning seasons with the Suns. And he went on to help coach the Warriors and Steve Kerr and help a lot of shooters within the game as well. I mean, LeBron has to understand that there's things that transcend the game of basketball, not just your career. Like, your name lives on after the fact, right? Allen Iverson, same thing, man. A lot of dudes look up to him on his highlight reels. Not so much like, oh my God, he didn't win a championship. His what's the quote of his? It's like, we're talking about practice. Practice? We're talking about practice, right? That whole spiel, that'll be forever immortalized within the game of basketball as well. Everybody's going to remember that quote and that series of events that happened in that press conference with Allen Iverson. Nobody's ever going to deny these guys' greatness and what they have done and how much they have impacted the game of basketball. Allen Iverson's step over from Brian Shaw, that's going to be forever immortalized. I know a lot of people have that specific picture within their homes. A lot of like the back in the day when they had like MTV Cribs and stuff like that, a lot of players or a lot of people had that poster up on their wall. Then we'll move on to what PK Subban said. I love this dude. I don't know where he came out of, but I've seen a couple of his takes, and I love the stuff that he talks about. Basically the same thing over and over again, right, about Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and the professionalism of the whole thing.
And this is why I don't put him ahead of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant for me. It's the approach to the game. And to me, in some ways, it can be insulting to look at it as chips don't matter, or why is it that other athletes aren't seen as other athletes. But the whole point of pro sports and team sports is to win, and is to win a championship. And that's your dream when it starts out, is to win. We don't want to change that. Like, there's no changing that. So when people talk about Kobe being here, and if he was here, he would say this, because the epitome of winning a championship is going through the grind. People want to see the grind. People want to see the struggle. And for LeBron, you know, I'll always be a fan of his because he's an amazing athlete and an amazing basketball player, and he's going to go down as one of the greats. But to be an all-time great, to be the greatest, there's a certain way. How you win matters to me. Michael Jordan paying his dues, putting his time, not going somewhere else trying to win, matters to me. Kobe Bryant doing the same. Larry Bird doing the same. Magic doing the same. Because I'm sorry, what we see in today's sports, our kids, as soon as there's a struggle, as soon as they don't get that success right away, they want to jump and go. I'm calling my agent. I need to go here. I need to go there. If you're the face of an organization, that team invested in you. At 18, they could have drafted anybody on the planet. They're investing in you to help them bring a championship to the city, right? It's bigger than just you. It's bigger than that. And I think we need to get athletes to understand that winning is what pro sports is all about, and how you win is important. You want to go to other teams? It's going to change your legacy.
So yeah, man, there's the clip of him talking about, like, how are you going to sit there and say, like, oh, the end all be all. This is where I can't defend LeBron. Like I said, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt within the conversation of saying, like, hey, man, winning a championship doesn't mean everything because those guys are still great. But to say the end-all, be-all of a championship is not what being a professional athlete in a team sport game, that's exactly what the end-all, be-all is. If you listen to, like, NFL players, they always talk about, like, Randy Moss, right? Randy Moss is huge wide receiver. Everybody knows who he is. Getting mossed is still a thing. But he talks about, like, man, I can't believe I went to Tom Brady and I couldn't win a ring. Like, that's one of the biggest things that I'm like, I scratch my head at. And he talks about stuff like that, and it is the end all be all. That is the whole point of this team sport is, you know, you don't go into regular season, preseason, you don't work out in the off season to go and play a season just to get paid, right? You obviously, the paycheck is a bonus, but doing what you love and doing what you sought out to do, like, the chances of you being a professional athlete is like 0.000001%, and you're living out your dreams, and you made it outside of everybody else that didn't. And to take that opportunity for granted would be disingenuous to all those people, right? It wouldn't do them any service. So him talking about stuff like that, him talking about how the end-all be-all isn't to win championships, it kind of a slap in the face to a lot of those guys like Steve Nash and Allen Iverson, because they understand how hard it is just to win one. So imagine saying, like, oh, I won 4, and winning one doesn't mean nothing. Like, taking that away from somebody, like, how are you going to make them feel that way? Because that is ultimately what they wanted to do. They wanted to win. You think Steve Nash was like, I'm going to retire because I can't win one? No, he's going to retire because he's tired. He's old, right? So, like I said, I think it's a slap in the face to them more so than it is like it's like a backhanded compliment to me. But I love what PK said here. He's like, you're not Michael Jordan, you're not Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, they stayed on the same team. They stuck it out when the organization was really bad, and they stuck it out, and you didn't. You left and you hopped around and you chose organizations that were going to set you in a position to win the championship. That's why you went to Miami. That's why you went to the Lakers. You know, that's why you went back to Cleveland, because they started, like, pushing that team up. Dan Gilbert and those guys were investing a lot in that team, investing a lot in the future. And you're like, hey, man, I can hop on this bus and make this team better too. So then here it is. Everybody around the world kind of was talking about this. Skip Bayless, Colin Cowherd, Fox Sports Radio. Don't know who this guy is. And then First Take. So everybody was kind of outraged. And then there, obviously, this clip popped up of him back when he joined, taking his talents to South Beach. Him talking about how we're not going to win 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. So to me, this clip is kind of funny, not because just because he's talking about how we're not gonna win just 1, 2, 3, or 4, 5, or 6, or 7. He's talking about how he's obviously trying to get the the crowd hyped up within the future, and like talking about these things and how great they're gonna be, and super hyped decision, right? It was like I remember watching I forgot what it was called, The Decision or something like that, and it was like 59 minutes of just straight highlights and garbage, and then it was like, I don't know, a bunch of ads, and at the last second, it was like a 30-second clip of him being like, "I'm taking my talents to South Beach." Then it was over. So you watched the whole hour for him to talk to say 7 words to say he's going to Miami. So super hyped up, super overhyped. I remember that's when I was kind of like, I hate LeBron James. I was a big fan of his when he came out of high school. He got drafted. The stuff he did against Boston and the fights he put up against them, taking them to Game 7s. And yeah, man, I think that it's funny how he stopped at 7, because he's like, man, if I don't get 2 more than Jordan or 1 more than Jordan, nobody's ever gonna put me in that conversation of the GOAT, right? So he's been thinking about this thing since the day he got drafted. He obviously got drafted with the number 23. He's been thinking about this the whole entire time. Michael Jordan lives a rent free. He's in his head with the beer in his hand, the lazy boy in the living room. He's spotted up. He's cozy in there, bro. And it's really sad to see when somebody puts so much time and effort, because obviously LeBron's a great. He's 40 years old. He's still playing. He still has a athletic capability to compete against these young dudes. Obviously, the game is a lot different. There's not a lot of defense being played, but regardless, still impressive. The longevity of it has to be applauded. It's not easy for a professional basketball player to go so long, especially with his dynamic of playing the game. He's obviously IQ super high, but he is mainly just a paint driver, a contact finisher, dunks, right? That's what his game is. That's what he's known for. To never get injure your ACL or injure your Achilles or anything, have a major injury, kind of like Derrick Rose or Brandon Roy, when they tore their limbs or they tore their ligaments, it was kind of over for them. It was kind of like, it's a wrap. I can't do this no more. LeBron has kind of stayed away from having those major injuries. I know that I don't think he's ever had one. But yeah, man, I mean, there's a lot of applause for LeBron, but I know that he is forever chasing this dream of being better than Michael Jordan. He's never going to do it, and this is kind of why. So Michael Jordan has more finals wins despite playing 20 less games than LeBron James. So obviously Michael has 24 wins, 11 losses. He's undefeated in the finals. He's 6-0, 2 3-peats. He took a break in between those to go play baseball to fulfill his dad's dreams of watching him play baseball. I think LeBron has been to 10 finals, 11 finals, something like that. And he's won 4, lost the rest of them. So yeah, this is going to forever hang in LeBron's head. But, let me know what you guys thought about LeBron James' comments. Why you think he said something like that. Is he kind of playing into the villain role of like, I want somebody to hate me because I enjoy it? But that's it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy, please leave a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.